Radio Dukacita.
Well, let me test this. Can you hear me? All right. Thank you, our marvelous host. My name is Big. This is Afwan, of course, is joining me tonight. I will be speaking in both Malay and English. If you need translations, maybe you can sit next to a person who can translate it for you as we go along. Otherwise, I believe certain things are universal. Okay, selamat kembali dan selamat datang ke segmen Radio Dukacita. Terima kasih kerana bersama kami pada malam ini. I feel very happy to be here. I feel very honored to be here with all of you. So tonight, as the host has mentioned, I will be reading letters sent in by the public. You know, we did open calls, I think, for letters to be sent in, and we received quite a number of letters. These letters are written for the dearly departed. Okay. Malam ini saya diberikan tanggungjawab besar sebenarnya untuk membaca surat-surat ini. Dan saya berharap saya dapat menjalankan tanggungjawab ini dengan baik lah. Okay? I hope I can do the letters justice. Okay? If at any point of time you need tissue paper or you need to probably take a breather, just let our volunteers know. They'll be glad to help. Okay? Sebelum saya teruskan, saya ingin mengatakan bahawa surat-surat yang kami terima dan yang akan saya baca pada malam ini mengandungi nukilan-nukilan memori pahit manis, bibit gembira, kesal dan harapan. Ditujukan untuk mereka yang tersayang yang telah meninggalkan kita buat selama-lamanya. Afwan, you okay not? You macam sedihnya malam ni, you okay?
Yes, right. I feel it.
You feel, huh? Okay. Alright, without further ado, let me read the first letter. The first letter is sent by Sharifah. And it reads like this. On 21st June 2020, I casually texted you at 10 a.m. to check on your health. You were admitted 2 days prior and placed in the isolation ward. 5 minutes later, doctors called and informed that you were being resuscitated. I was lost to the extent I asked, "Do you want me and my family to come down?" As the doctor was in a rush, she just said, "Yes." At about 10:45 a.m., when I arrived at the counter, I was then informed indirectly that you have left us. I fell to the ground, as all I could think of is how will your husband deal with losing you. We went up to the ward. I wanted to cry so bad, especially when Dad greeted you, and there was no response. He just sat next to you, talking and crying. I approached and kissed you and told you it's time for you to rest. He would take care of the rest of us while we're here. While in hospital, the calls to family members and friends to inform of your passing was hard, seeing your siblings crying over losing you. Nevertheless, we had to talk to the doctors and police for formalities. It's hard, especially your case had to be decided by the coroner for post-mortem or not. It's not until the next day that the coroner determined that it is not required. I was 6 months pregnant. Baby and I gave you your last bath. I kissed your feet as a sign of appreciation for all your hard work. I kissed your forehead, and I know you are in a happy place to meet the one. Being the only lady in the household with 3 men while being pregnant was too overwhelming that I got hospitalized 3 times. Not blaming anyone else, but my own anxiety, as I wanted to make the home feels like you were still around. No one but my husband helped. Took a huge toll on me that it affected my pregnancy at its last trimester. Some even had the audacity to tell me that I shouldn't be sad of her passing as I have my husband to fall back on. I feel this is just wrong. After giving birth, I feel so lonely as I do not have a mother figure to seek help and guidance. With all that has happened and is happening, I tend to suddenly cry while eating, watching TV, or even working, if my mind decided to go down memory lane. It is not easy, but I am trying to heal. The theme for tonight is palliative care, if I pronounce it correctly. Palliative. Kalau dalam bahasa Melayu, ia disebut sebagai penjagaan akhir hayat. Akhir hayat, you know. In English, it sounds very impersonal, but in Malay, akhir hayat means end of life care, you know. And much as death affects the living, but we also have to take consideration about how death affects the dying. So, how much have we spoken to our loved ones before they pass on, especially if they are terminally ill? Last night we had a cancer survivor speaking to us. There were parts that she was angry, there were parts that she was sad, but she had family. The Malay family, I wouldn't say unfortunately, the Malay family is such that if you are sick, it is your fate. Itu bahagian awak dalam hidup. Itu cabaran awak, itu dugaan awak. Tuhan hanya menguji mereka yang dapat mengatasi ujian. But seriously, we need to talk to the people who are dying, and we need to ask, very importantly, things like, if this decision is to be made, do I take out the plug or not? Usually, family members, we would have a debate. No, we shouldn't take it out. It is God's will. It is God's will. If that person is to die tonight, then that person dies tonight. If not, no. But have we asked the person who is plugged into the machine what he or she wants? Have we said things like, Ayah, kalau ada keputusan ni yang kita harus cabut mesin ni ataupun tak, what is important to you? We might not know the answer, we might not be ready for the answer, but the answer will come, and the answer belongs to the most important person in that room. Just now we heard about how Sharifah felt so lonely because she does not have a mother figure to seek help and guidance. I am a guy, but I have a wife who has been through this. My mother-in-law is still alive, but we were very lucky to have somebody that we can ask, hey, how to change the diapers? Things as simple as that, no? They don't really teach you in kursus rumah tangga, in the marriage prep course, but these things happen, So we were very lucky. But Sharifa, I believe this is her first child, right? So she had to ask somebody. And I think that those were the times that she missed her mother the most. Apakah peninggalan orang-orang yang kita sayang? What's the legacy? And how can the legacy be preserved? I'm not talking about financial legacy. I'm not talking about property. I'm talking about ilmu. I'm talking about things that we find, remeh-temeh in life. The recipe for the asam pedas. How do you clean, or how do you mend a leaking faucet? So palliative care is actually not about the medical, financial, but also about the wishes of the dying. I'm silent because we are waiting for calls. So if you want to share, I'm talking to the viewers at home. If you want to share, please do call. Scan the QR code. Like we are all very used to scanning QR codes these days, right? Scan the QR code. You'll be connected to the people at the back, and they will gladly link you up to me. And of course, it's not easy to share. Last night we had one. We are supposed to have two, but we had one. And that one was very important. That one person actually lost his colleague 1.5 months ago. A shock. Like having lunch, later on, pass away. Tomorrow, that person is no more there. There's a lot of his things around. There's that void. Yeah. If there are no more calls yet, I will go on to the next letter. Sure. I said sure to my SM. She's here. Don't feel so morose, Much as this show is about, end of life, grief, we should also celebrate the life that these people have lived, right? That's the legacy that our dearly departed would like us to honor, I feel. This next letter is sent by a person who does not want his name to be read. This person is young. Saya ingin mengucapkan terima kasih kepada mereka yang telah menghantar surat-surat ini. Sesungguhnya perkara-perkara ini sangat-sangat, what's the right Malay word? Sensitive. It's very close to us. At times we also don't tell people, right? But these letters are important. These letters are important not just for the people sending these letters, but it's important for all of us. It makes us feel that we are not alone grieving. It makes us feel it's okay. It's okay. It's okay if you do not have any reaction to the news of a death. It's okay if you were to bawl your eyes out 3 months in the bus thinking about the stuff that has happened. It's okay. Everybody deals with death differently. Yang penting kita harus menjaga maruah orang-orang yang akan pergi ataupun orang-orang yang telah pergi. Ya. So kita continue lah. Wan, upbeat sikit Wan. An inside joke. Inside joke we start. Before we start inside joke lah. Afwan and I have often been mistaken as the same person. I think it's the eyebrows. I think it's but I can make your voice, man.
Very good.
Okay. Alright. This letter is sent by a very young person. Let me izinkan saya minum air sekejap boleh? I'm really sorry for distancing myself from you, for not being there for you when you needed me. The last time I ever saw you was at USS, and we never even got to speak to one another. I regret not stopping you and saying hi, because I didn't know it would be the last time I ever saw you. In secondary school, we spoke about going to USS together, and recently, we were making plans to go together and also go for HHN, Halloween Horror Nights. Our last outing was at OTH. We ate and we karaoke together. You will never forget, you ate in the karaoke room and we end up sleeping in the room because we ran out of songs to sing. I will never forget the times we spent together in secondary school, from getting into trouble together, making jokes, mouthing off to teachers, and getting scolded by Ross together. We made so many good memories, like going to IKEA, planning our future house furniture, singing together at OTH using YouTube on my computer, and laughing at the stupid Smule account with the exaggerated auto-tune. You are my best friend, and I'm sorry for failing you as one. I promise to stay in touch and never be distant. I failed you. I asked myself if I spoke to you every day that you might still be here together with me. I'm really sorry for failing you. If only you were here now, we'd do all the things we wanted to do together. The last time the whole gang was together was in 2017, when we went back to school to see our teachers. You said you wanted to meet again this year, and now we will meet again on 18 July 2020. You got the whole gang back together. I will always remember you, and you will always be in my prayers. I love you, and I miss you. This letter, like many letters that we receive, is actually heavy with guilt. You know, sangat-sangat berat dengan rasa bersalah. I would like to ask the audience, is there anything that you would like to comment, to share with us tonight? The volunteers are there with microphones so that your voices can be heard without breaking the SMM regulations. Not yet? I look forward to your contribution. Hold on. We have a caller. Hello, selamat malam. Assalamualaikum, selamat malam. Hello.
Waalaikumsalam. Hi.
Hi. Saudari apa namanya?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you loud and clear.
Alhamdulillah. My name is Dalina.
Dalina, can I ask that you don't sit too close to the screen because you will have a lagging issue. Yeah. Just hear me through your phone.
Okay, sure.
Okay.
Is it better now?
Yes, it is. Dalina, lebih senang bercakap dalam bahasa Melayu atau bahasa Inggeris atau kedua-duanya?
Dua-dua boleh.
Okay.
It will be a mix, I guess. Yeah.
Thank you so
Alright.
much.
Yeah.
Is there anything?
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you.
What would you like to share with us tonight?
Yeah. I recently lost my mom, like just 5 weeks ago, and it's something. I watched a little bit of yesterday's episode, and just now that you mentioned about making the painful decision of pulling the plug. So it really, really resonates to me. So I'd just like to share what I just recently went through with my beloved mom. I'm the only child, and I just lost my dad like 3 years ago, and we had to go through a lot of things. I had 2 half brothers. Everything didn't go as well as what we were planned. We planned. Again, I think what happened to my family actually is a combination of everything that you guys are going to discuss about. So initially what happened was that my dad made a will, and upon his passing, he would like the 4 of us to have whatever, equally, the proceeds of the house. But that didn't happen, even though a will was written, a wasiat was written, legalized. Just so happened that, my 2 half brothers didn't agree. And there was a clause there saying that any one of the beneficiaries, if they don't agree, then, it will default to Fara'id. So in that sense, it was difficult for me and my mother. We felt that, we were being, they were not being honest and fair to what my father wanted. So we had to go through a lot. They severed ties with us. Suddenly an agent, a house agent called and said that, she's in charge of selling the house. And we were so shocked. And within a span of less than a year, my mom had to move out with a lot of things. Orang-orang tua kan,
Yes.
banyak barangnya. So she had no choice, but, she had to move in with me. And of course, then tak boleh nak bawa barang semua, so there's a lot of family dramas in between. But, me and my husband, we were very, very happy to have my mom in our house. Memang I nak jaga dia lah. So it took a while for us to settle down. And then when we settled down, it was, she just stayed with me like December 2018. My mom had always been a very healthy person. Dia tak ada penyakit, memang orang ni sihat lah. It just so happened that on the 74th birthday, I tunjuk dia lah, marilah kita pergi health screening. Mama tak pernah pergi. So, I brought her to Poly and did a whole total health screening. Alhamdulillah, dia sihat, dia tak ada sakit pun. Cuma itulah dia ada lupa-lupa sikit ever since my dad's passing, with all the family drama that happened. Dia dah start mula-mula lupa and also we found out that she may have a mild dementia, and most shockingly she possibly could have depression, which was caught me by surprise, because one of the questions which were being asked during that dementia screening, makcik gembira ke dengan kehidupan makcik? And she cried and she looked at me. So she couldn't explain to the doctor what was going through. So I explained, I summarized to the doctor. And I said, doctor, I would like to get this addressed. I didn't know that she may have this. And we were supposed to sit in for a session in October. I said, to be fair, I also want to address if she has any issues with me. I would like her to address it. Like I would like to sit separately so that we can work things out together. So part of the dementia screening, we were asked to do brain CT scan, which we did. She did the CT scan, and we were supposed to see the doctor on 15th of September. But one day, just on the 3rd of September, alih-alih my mother had tummy pain, and then she suddenly tak boleh bangun, and we brought her to the clinic, and then subsequently she had to be admitted to the hospital. And then on the next day, she was totally unconscious. So just imagine, she only had tummy pain, and then it just escalated suddenly that she had high fever, she had mini strokes, she had mini heart attacks, and she was totally unconscious. So to cut things short, it was a grueling 22 days that she was in hospital, in ICU, in HDU. She initially had infection from her colon, and then it just escalated up to her brain. Suddenly she had so many infections in her brain. She had to go through 2 surgeries in her brain, one to drain out excess fluid and the other one just to remove some of the excess. But as soon as they removed the excess, she dah berebak, so we were just chasing, and the doctors couldn't diagnose what was wrong with her. Her case was unfortunately very, very rare, extremely rare. So it took a while. It took a while for the doctors to identify what bacteria it was actually. But meanwhile, the doctors were really good. They were really on top of things. They covered her with a lot of medicines, a lot of antibiotics to keep her going. So eventually, when we finally found out the bacteria, the exact bacteria, the doctor gave me assurance that, Dalina, it's okay. Just let's be patient. I'm not giving up on your mom. She might not wake up like maybe 3 months or so, just be patient. I say, yeah, of course, doctor, it's okay. I will accept my mom no matter what it is. I'm prepared no matter how bad. If she were to be vegetable at the end of the day, I will do everything for my mom. So just a day after, she had heart attack, and I thought she was gone, but the doctors managed to revive her through CPR, and that's where they had to put her on life support.
Okay.
So she was just breathing without, she's just breathing, but everything else was not functioning. Her body was not functioning at all. So the doctors kindly gave me 48 hours grace because of the COVID situation as well, right? So they're saying that, okay, we will give you about 48 hours. Maybe a miracle might happen. God may give miracle to your mom. Let's give that a chance. But if not, then, you would need to make that painful decision. So, Allah jangan tahu, what should I do, right? I betul-betulnya berserah lah. I prayed so much to Allah, berikan I petunjuk jalannya, what should I do? And then I also discussed with my cousins, my head of cousins, what should I do? And they were all saying that, okay, maybe kita tunggu hari Isnin lah. So what happened was on a Saturday, so on Monday, if hopefully she passes on, but if not, then let's do it on a Monday untuk ambil berkat Rasulullah kita meninggal on Monday. So, we reached there in the morning, and then when I saw her, her body was really, I tak boleh tengok lah, memang semua dia dah jatuh lah, dia punya muka dia semua dah jatuh. So, I told the doctor, okay, I'm ready, and then me and my husband, we were waiting behind the curtains, and then when they plucked off everything, we went in and we syahadakan dia. I was just be by her side, and then she slowly took her last breath. It was just 15 minutes, and she just faded away. It was so painful. It's initially, it filled me with so much grief and guilt because for 2 days before her passing, I didn't spend time with her. She cooked for me actually on Friday. She cooked for me what you're saying, asam pedas. And that's something that, I didn't eat because I was so turned off by the smell. Dia gunakan belacan and my house, stinks. And I didn't eat, I blamed myself why I should have treated her better. I think probably all my family and my relatives know that I take good care of my mom, but these are sometimes the small little things that we take for granted that kita take for granted lah. Mak kita ada, mak kita masak, kita tak berkenan, kita tak makan, like we went out to eat instead of eating what she cooked. In the end, dia pun tak makan. And then the next day I keluar, just many things like that. If I had known, I would have spent time. But it's all too late, right? So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes kita satu rumah ni, kita selalu take our family members for granted. We know that the person is going to be there, but we never know when is the last, right? So as much as possible, we should, always cherish and treasure every moment. And walaupun mak kita masak tak sedap ke apa, just makan aja lah. And the grief and because I'm working from home myself, so the grief is a lot lah for me. Like, kat mana-mana pun I terbayang dia everywhere. Everything. Kadang I buka fish until now I tak boleh masak pun. Because bila I buka fish tu I nampak, she would pack the meat, the whatever, the frozen things in the freezer. Until now I tak boleh carry on life as per normal in the house. Because everything just reminds me. So, sometimes macam, she passed on Monday, right? So, every Monday tu, dalam pukul antara 8 ya 9, I will always have flashbacks of what happened. I had to pull the plug. So, I think to the extent that, I should be calling a counselor or something to get me through this grief. Yes. But at the same time, I also tell myself that, amidst all of this that happened, I consult myself that Allah betul-betul punya mempermudahkan segalanya. I'm so grateful. And in fact, out of this whole thing that happened, right, I choose to think that the blessing is I'm closer to Allah because I have no one to minta tolong, to hear me out but Allah, right? So I've never been closer to him until this incident. And I choose to, sometimes bila sedih tu, I choose to think about the blessings that he gave. Like, Noda, I rasa macam tekilan, I tak dapat nak menghadap my mother macam betul-betul jaga dia because she was just unconscious and she just passed on like 22 days after suddenly, too soon, too sudden. But at the same time, Allah tu pemudahkan her journey. She didn't have to suffer too long. And since she was unconscious, she probably, she couldn't feel the extreme pain that she could have felt in her tummy and, in her brain. So hopefully she didn't have to feel it. Itu je lah yang I rasa I had to pujuk myself, and Allah to send down, my family members and like my cousins and my friends and those who are close to me to support me spiritually. With COVID kan orang semua tak boleh datang. And then a wonderful team of doctors who attended to her. They didn't give up. I felt with so much gratitude. I sent them cards, I sent them emails, because they did a wonderful job. I'm so grateful. And even down to the day when during her funeral tu pun cantik je semuanya, very nice. Like kita sampai tu bila I dah habis mandikan dia, then even bukan mandi jenazah dia, she was so sweet, she was so loving. Semualah yang pengurus jenazah, even the bus driver, they were so nice people. And then as soon as finished tu, bang, azan Zuhur pun berkumandang. We had jemaah for Zuhur, and then after that jemaah for jenazah, solat jenazah. It was so beautiful. And then even right to the burial pun, redup aja dia punya cuaca. Cuma yalah, bila kita dah nak balik tu, dah halfway dah nak sampai tu baru hujan. You know, like Allah tu betul-betul mempermudahkan. And my mother, dia punya, yalah, she was so prepared, you know. She was so prepared. She had cash in her drawer. Although, of course, I paid with my own money, but she memang dah sediakan, you know, the cash. She sediakan kain batik. So, because bila kita tanya pengurus jenazah tu, what should I prepare, kan? And all that, kata, you kena ada kain batik. So, I was like, mana nak cari, kan?
And she had all that.
But apparently my mom dah prepare semua tu. And because of my dad's passing, you know, we had that family drama and all that. My mom learned, we both learned the hard way, and my mom prepared hibah for me. So that, you know, because I'm the only daughter, so of course the next kin would be my uncle and all that. So she dah prepared semua. We went to a lawyer, we wrote down whatever, you know, that she wanted to hibahkan I. So we had that. So amongst all of this painful, you know, and sadness that I have, which is, you know, overbearing, I must say. But
saw the beauty
at the same time, so much beauty in it, and I have so much of gratitude, really, so much of gratitude. But itulah, I mean, to get through this grief, I guess it takes a long while, probably a lifetime, I don't know. I reda dia, tapi yalah, miss her so much. And you know, like orang-orang kita, we are not open about our affection, right? Like, maybe kita yang generation baru ni, we are more open, but people like that generation, they are not. So there's something that, you know, I wish that we could have. Cuma the only consideration tu masa time hari raya lah. Bermaafan. And I said that Mama yang sayang Mama tahu. Yang sayang. And she said that Mama sayang. And you know, that was the only moment lah. Macam just hari raya je lah. That's it. And even when she was in coma too, every day I would tell her how much I love her. How much, you know, I'm grateful to have her as my mother. But yalah, she couldn't hear. But I hope she can hear me despite she was in coma. Sometimes I did notice that she had a tiny teardrop. Itu je lah. So wallahualam lah dia dengar ke tidak.
Dalina.
Sorry, I'm sharing
don't
so
be
much.
sorry. Please don't be sorry. Dalina.
Yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot.
We would like to thank you for sharing this very intimate story with us. Terima kasih kerana berkongsi kisah ini dengan kami. Tapi can we request that you stay on the line, because we do have counsellors that are able to speak to you.
Okay, thank you.
Dalina?
Ya?
Dalina, saya mewakili pihak Mengukir Harapan Both Sides Now ingin mendoakan bahawa arwahnya ditempatkan dalam kalangan orang-orang yang beriman. May God send His blessings to your late mother.
Amin.
Amin, ya Allah.
Amin, ya Rabbal Alamin.
Terima kasih Dalina.
Terima kasih.
Please stay on the line, ya.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
As a Malay person, it's not every day you have an outpouring of emotions about grief, you know. We are asked to stay strong. We are asked to accept it. Selalunya kita akan mendapati kita bersendirian, kesunyian menghadapi perkara-perkara seperti ini. Kita menangis sendirian di atas sejadah, but it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be. Support needs to be given. We need to be more open. This is my personal opinion. We cannot treat stories like this as something that happens by chance. You know? Jadi di manakah kita sekarang ni? Where are we now? We are all in our own journey. Some of us are grieving. Sometimes some of us take a longer time. I believe there is no end to grief. You only learn to adapt. Is there anyone that would like to share anything in this space? Please, ma'am. Can we have...
Can I? Okay.
Hello. Can you,
Hi.
would you like to introduce yourself or would you like to remain anonymous?
I want to remain anonymous. I think this story was not really, it's more of my friends grieving me. So last year was very hard for me, and I decided to end my life. And because I thought that, you know, I mean, like you said, like orang Melayu tak really show how they feel about their family members. So I grew up in like, everyone around me was predominantly Chinese and or like white. And their parents would always tell them how much they love them, or during the weekends, bring them out. And my parents never had that. Like to just say that like, how was school was already very hard for them. They show their love in different ways, but you know, I didn't understand that. And so I ended up in the hospital, and that was the first time I ever saw my father cry. He was breaking down in the hospital, and the entire car ride, he didn't say anything. He just kept quiet. And after, in the hospital bed, I was sent to the ICU, so I started crying, like, you don't have anything to say to me. And he menangis lah. He cried, and then he felt so guilty. And he said he hurt me. He always hears me crying in my room, but he doesn't know what to say to me. He wants to sayang me. In the end, he just comes up as him lecturing me or scolding me. And then I would also get mad, because why are you scolding me for, you know, feeling things? And I actually found out that night that my grandparents, who treated me very well, didn't treat him well, or my mother, and he grew up in very abusive household, even though that was my family home, and I found comfort in my grandparents. So, because my grandparents treated me very well, he has a little bit of resentment looking at me, like why his parents can treat other children so well but not their own. My friends also, I was always the joker friend, so they never thought that I was going through what I went through. I went back to school and no one even glanced or, you know, had second thoughts about it. Then one friend, wrote a very, very long letter. She's very shy. She never expressed her feelings towards me, but she wrote a really long letter about how she was so scared of losing me. And her perspective, losing her only friend, who she also had no one, and we only had each other. And then I think what I'm trying to say is, after that day, then it's the only time that people started showing affection to me, and everything that I've been, you know, begging for beforehand. Like, I always wanted, you know, my mom to cook, like, you know, nasi goreng, but she said, you know, oh, too many calories, or, you know, so oily, but that was the food that I grew up eating. And yeah, it's very, very little things that, you know, people take for granted, and how it took them losing me to actually care about me, or to, you know, give a second glance. And even after losing a lot of people in my life, in primary school, I lost my good friend to cancer. And then this year, my mom had a cancer scare as well. My best friend's dad passed away, cancer. So I grew up with a lot of grief, but I thought that it wasn't okay for me to cry about it. And my output was through art. So I'm in SOTA now, I do theater and I do acting. And I hated the fact that we couldn't talk about it, or even the counselors would tell me things like, it's normal to feel this way, because I didn't feel like it was normal to feel so sad and so lonely that, even when my mom's mom, my grandmother, passed away, she cried and I didn't even know what to say because, no one talked about it. So I think, like shows like this and we talk about grief is really important, and I don't think that I would have found it without, my own teachers telling me about this program. And yeah, I think that's all I want to say, other than, you should tell people that you love them. So every night I go and I hug my parents before I sleep. And even though they just mumble, they don't really say anything, I know they love me. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you for your courage in sharing. Saya mengucapkan terima kasih kepada anda semua. Sekiranya, if you need somebody to talk to, I think the marvelous host has actually shared that we can talk to our volunteers at the back. Sebelum saya akhiri, izinkan saya berpantun. Burung merpati terbang 1000, hinggap seekor di tengah laman. Hendak mati di hujung kuku, hendak berkubur di tapak tangan. Kalau tuan mudik ke hulu, carikan saya bunga kemboja. Kalau tuan mati dahulu, nantikan saya di pintu syurga. Thank you for sharing this space. Thank you for the warmth. Selamat malam, saya ucapkan kepada semua. Selamat malam.